the city. So for those of you who've already entered the buffet line, you know that we have meatless lasagna for those practicing today, so nobody's going to judge, I will tell you that. And our program with the mayor will start at noon. Am I introducing you? No. Yeah. We can't do this without our sponsors, so a special thanks to our gold sponsor, Horseshoe Casino. They came in force today. They've got 2 tables. So, Bill, thank you for letting them out. We also have several silver sponsors, NIPSCO, Digital Crossroad, Notre Dame Federal Credit, Quantum Corridor, the City of Hammond, American Structure Point, Old National Bank, BP, and 219 Development, Bauer Construction. So thank you to our silver sponsors. And our bronze sponsors, Regional Care Group, Hammond Public Library, Icorn and Icorn, CSK Architects, Berglund Construction, South Shore Visitor Center, TSA, which is Tri-State Automation. So thank you to our bronze, silver, and our special gold sponsors. Thank you. So now I'd like to introduce Monica Rubio. Take it away.
Good afternoon. I'm Monica Rubio. I am the Northwest Indiana Market President and Community Lending Market Executive for Old National Bank, and I am honored to welcome you all here today. A round of applause for everyone. We have almost 400 in attendance. The mayor always knows how to bring a crowd, right? I want to, I'd be remiss, at our annual dinner at the Horseshoe Casino, we were honoring longevity awards, and we missed one of our great community business partners here. I want to recognize Centier Bank for 130 years of service. So again, it's an honor to welcome you all here today. I'm honored to be the chairperson of the board of Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce. As we gather here today to celebrate the progress and future of our great city, Hammond, it is with immense pride that I introduce a distinguished leader who has played an instrumental role in shaping Hammond's growth and development. Mayor Thomas J. McDermott. Mayor McDermott's unwavering commitment to our community has been evident through continuous efforts to improve the lives of our citizens, to create opportunities for the businesses, and to foster an environment that embraces both innovation and inclusivity. His leadership has paved the way for Hammond to thrive, and his dedication serves as an inspiration to all. As a proud resident and professional and advocate of Hammond, I'm grateful for Mayor McDermott's tireless work in the building a vibrant and prosperous city. In recognition of his 20 years of service to this city, we would like to honor him with an award this afternoon. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mayor Thomas J. McDermott, Jr. as he shares his insight on the state of the city.
Thank you very much.
Maybe we can get a picture with you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I like to come into speeches like with an edge, you know? I come in and I'm all fired up, and you guys, this is like taking the edge off, but I appreciate it very much. So thank you guys very much. Welcome to the State of the City 2025. My name's Tom McDermott. This is my 22nd State of the City. Can you believe that? 22. There's some boos out there. It's all right. The First Amendment is a mean instrument. You could boo it, you could clap, you could do it all. So thank you very much for being here. I want to start off and thank my family member in attendance. Chase, where are you? He's out there at the Icorn table. Nice to see you, buddy. Give it up for my son, Chase McDermott. Oh! I have 3 family members in attendance today. I want to thank my brothers, Brett and Aaron from Latitude Construction. Thank you very much, guys. Those 2 with all their friends by themselves. No, thanks, guys, for being here. State of the City. Most State of the Cities you see are very formal. This is not. This is more a conversation. We started doing this a few years back, and I like it personally, and it seems like you like it also, because each year we keep on selling this event out. So I appreciate you all being here. All proceeds from tonight benefit the Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce. Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce is the Chamber of Commerce for Hammond and for East Chicago. It's merged a long time ago, and all the benefits that we get from tonight's event will help out the Lakeshore Chamber. So thank you for being a part of that. I want to thank the elected officials in attendance before we get started. I want to start off with right here, my bosses right here in Hammond, the Hammond City Council, without whom the partnership we've created 22 years ago is still producing results today. And I want to thank the following 6 members that are here. Janet Vanez, where are you, Janet? There she is. Dan Spitali, Dave Warple, Bill Emerson, Mark Kowinski, and the council president, Scott Rakos. Can you give it up for the Hammond City Council, everybody? Sorry about that. President Dave Warple, not President Rakos. That was a recent development, so it's good to see you guys here. I want to thank the mayor of the city of Hobart, a good friend of mine, an excellent mayor. Let's give it up for Josh Huddleston, everybody. Our amazing, excellent North Township trustee, Adrienne Santos. Thank you very much, Trustee Santos. She's a good friend that does great work around the region, and she's also a councilwoman in the town of Winfield. Give it up for Amy Blaker, everybody. Earlier, I introduced Bill Emerson, my 4th District councilman in the city of Hammond, but he also has a son that's doing great work for the county. His name is Bill Emerson also. They call him Bill Emerson Jr. He's our Lake County surveyor. Give it up for Bill. From the town of Winfield, Town Council, John Derwinski. Thank you very much, Councilman. From Hammond School Board trustee, she's the president of the school board, Carlotta Blake King. Thank you, Trustee King. And also Hammond School City trustee, Missy Guerra. Thank you very much, Missy. Also want to recognize from Purdue Northwest, he's not an elected official, but he's chancellor at Purdue Northwest, Chancellor Halford. Thank you very much for being here, Chancellor. And there's a gentleman that's very special to me that came here besides my family members. I want to thank my Navy buddy. He served on the Hyman G. Rickover with me, and he came in as a surprise today. Greg Poulos. Give it up, Greg. Appreciate you, man. And he's looking to open a business in the region, and we're like showing him the best of Hammond right now. So no pressure, Greg. Good to see you. So thank you, everybody. We wanted to get started. I wanted to introduce my chief of staff. He's in there someplace. Scott Miller, where are you, chief? Right in front of me. Nice to see you. You know, 2025, Scott, we did a lot of work this year. We have a lot of things to talk about today, but one of the most basic things happened in 2025 was Scott came over from the School City of Hammond to be my chief of staff. So welcome. Good to see you. 2025 got started with another chief of staff who got promoted to become the CEO of the South Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau. He's here also. Give it up for Phil Talon, everybody. Thank you for being part of my team, Phil. Thank you for doing great work. It's always great when you see people get promoted, and that's what Phil did. He got promoted, and he's doing great work for all of us in this room now, so thank you very much, Phil. Scott, welcome aboard. I never doubted for a second you were going to assimilate quickly, and that's proven to be true. Scott jumps in with both feet, dealing with facts and dealing with issues, and I think in the few months you've been here, you've learned quite a bit. So, how's that microphone working?
All right, I think a little better. There we go.
All right, good.
Yeah,
Good to see
you. That's great. Thank you, Mayor.
So Scott, this is your first time on the microphone at State of the City. It's more like conversational. Him and I have talked about it coming into it, but this is the first year I haven't done it with Dave Ryan. Dave and I had done this previous event. I'm not sure if he's here right now, but Dave, we miss you, love you, hope you're doing well. But Scott, no pressure, Dave, it's big shoes to fill.
He does have big shoes to fill, but I just want to go over with the audience a couple rules, okay? So the first one is a reminder to City of Hammond employees. No matter what mayor says, you're going to get up and applaud no matter what he says. If he says we're controlling the cat population by drowning kitties, your role is to stand up
Thank you.
and applaud.
You guys all saw the state of the city last night. You know how it works. So.
And then if there's any trouble in here, I've appointed Juan Moreno as the Master of Arms.
All right. Good. Can't
And
be too
yes,
careful.
right?
So.
And he will talk to you until you leave, okay? That is what is going to happen, all right?
Thank you, guys. Hey, by the way, Scott, while we're at it, let's go ahead and, if you don't mind, I know there's a lot of workers for the city of Hammond, department heads for the city of Hammond that are here right now. Can you all collectively stand so we can give you a big round of applause, please? People that help us do our job. Thank you, guys. I mentioned the Hammond City Council and the partnership and the work that we're producing between the council and the mayor, but the ones that get it done are the ones that just stood. They represent hundreds of workers in the city of Hammond, and they effectuate the plans that we all come up with, and they implement them and make sure it happens. So thank you very much. All these accomplishments that we're touting today, I couldn't do by myself. I couldn't do it without the council. I certainly couldn't do it without the department heads and the leaders of the city. So thank you very much for being here. One of the most basic things we did this year, I know Phil started it as chief of staff, and we finally finished it yesterday, when we celebrated the signing of a contract with Local 142. We negotiated all of our union contracts this year, right? Scott?
Yes, absolutely we did. That included fire, police, Teamsters, operating engineers, and I know you want to share some of how we address pay gaps and recruit and retain, right, Mayor?
Oh, it's no different for cities than it is for everybody that's running a business in here right now. Your employees are feeling the pressure of the inflation right now, and they want more. Well, police officers, firefighters, and city employees are no different. So, and the really scary thing was to see what was happening in our police department. That's the thing that was really getting my attention. We had a 4-year deal with the police, and over the last 2 years of that 4-year deal, we were losing cops left and right to other departments because of pay, which does not happen. Hammond Police Department doesn't lose officers very often, and we were losing officers because of competitive reasons, because we weren't paying enough, because the market changed so quickly on us. So we had glaring discrepancies in what we were paying our police officers versus what other cities and towns were paying them. We had glaring discrepancies between what we were paying with our fire department, between what other city and fire departments were paying, and our city employees as well, and we had to address them, which is hard to do. You have to wait until the contract's up, and then it's a big bite. And then obviously I got to work closely with the city controller and make sure we could afford it. But police officers and firefighters received in excess of 10% pay raises in the first year they signed the contract. And our union employees did very well also. I'm happy because keeping our labor happy keeps my residents happy, because they're out there pushing snow and patrolling our streets and putting out our fires. And if they're not operating at a high level, the residents take notice. So we signed our last contract yesterday, Scott. Local 142 came in City Hall.
Absolutely.
I thought it was really nice. We take a big picture at the end of it now. We weren't doing that for a long time, but it was nice to put it to a close. So that was a busy year.
It was.
Phil started as chief of staff on that. Scott finished as chief of staff, and the negotiating team was consistent all the way through. Hundreds of hours of meetings this year, dealing with 4 different unions, 4 different contracts. But that was a big accomplishment. So congratulations to everybody that worked so hard on that.
Mayor, one of the big developments that finally opened up towards the end of the year occurred in the 3rd District. It was a major $70 million investment. City of Hammond had a big part of that. Do you want to share with the room what's going on in the 3rd?
You're talking about the YMCA.
I am absolutely talking about the YMCA.
When I first took over as mayor, it's neat to see things come full circle, because a lot of times when you're mayor, you're lucky if you get 8 years. Some mayors only get 4 years. Some mayors, maybe you get more than 8 years, but it's not very often you're up here celebrating your 22nd year as mayor. And one of the benefits of being able to be up here for a long period of time is not only to start projects, but to close them. And let me tell you a long story, but it's going to be in a short period of time. When I took over as mayor, Woodmar Mall was still open. All right? So while I was mayor, I watched that mall shut down. I watched everything get demolished. And then the last holdout was Carson Prairie Scott, which held on for a couple of years despite the fact there was nothing around it when it finally shut down. And then the decade or so of questions. What are you going to do, Mayor? What's going to come? What are you going to replace Woodmar Mall with, Mayor? Hundreds, if not thousands of times asked the same question. And quite frankly, I didn't know the answer to it. Because if I did, I would have done it 15 years ago. You know, I knew people weren't shopping like they used to. I knew that malls like Woodmar Mall were old, done in the 60s, done in the 70s, and now we order and it's delivered to our doorstep. So malls like that are struggling. I don't need to tell anybody in this room that. All you have to do is look over at River Oaks, what used to be the mall over there, or look down at what's left of South Lake Mall, right? Malls are struggling. Woodmar Mall was one of the first to struggle. And now, after that $70 million YMCA open, and right next door we have the $20 million Sportsplex open, I think we're pretty close to being done. I can't believe it. 22 years later, we're pretty close to being done. We got to develop the old Walmart in that area around there. By the way, a Starbucks is coming to that neck of the woods, looking seriously, wants to be as close to the Sportsplex and the YMCA as possible. Another Starbucks down the street on Calumet and 165th is happening. It's a done deal. The third Starbucks, excuse me, that'll be our third Starbucks. Our fourth Starbucks is being talked about seriously with the right people. So getting back to the YMCA, the Dean and Barbara White Foundation donated over $50 million to the city of Hammond. To get to the point in life where you make $50 million is significant, right? Gosh, give me $50 million. I'd be the happiest guy, the most pleasant guy. But if you got to the point in life where you're able to donate $50 million to a city that you don't even live in, Dan and Barbara White lived in Crown Point. I understand why they want to build the Crown Point Y. I understand why they're doing so much work in Crown Point. But they love the city of Hammond, Dean and Barbara White Foundation. Bill Hanna, that runs the Dean and Barbara White Foundation, loves the city of Hammond. They put their money where their mouth is when they did the first YMCA project, about a $10 million build out. And then within a year, Phil Talon and Jay Buckmaster are talking about the next phase. And I'm like, Phil, a destination Y, they just built the first Y. Son of a gun. The biggest YMCA in the country is located in Hammond, Indiana. And they're not done building right now. They're not done. It's the biggest right now. They're not done. They're going to do a water park, and they're going to donate more money to the city of Hammond. The Dean and Barbara White Foundation. It's going to go towards 165th, which challenges us. We have a challenge right now. Our economic development team needs to clear the footprint out of the water park. Once we do that, you're going to see the outdoor pool get built, outdoor lap pool, outdoor water slides. It's just an amazing accomplishment what's going on over there. I can't thank the Dean and Barbara White Foundation and Bill Hanna enough, as well as the White family. And by the way, the city of Hammond also put $20 million into that project, or pretty close to that. So thank you to the Hammond City Council for believing in that vision, and the fact that it's located in Hammond's 3rd District is amazing.
Mayor, I have some exact numbers from the Y. Since they've opened, 217,587 check-ins to that location.
217,000?
Yes.
Yeah. It's state-of-the-art, top of the line. I live with less than a mile from it. For where I live, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. I could literally walk there and work out and walk home. It's just, for anybody in that area, the quality of life has improved so much because of that generous gift from the Dean and Barbara White Foundation. It's just amazing, and I can't thank them enough. So
Mayor, can I tell a secret to the audience?
Sure, as long as it's not embarrassing.
Oh, it's embarrassing.
It's my state of the
It's
city,
embarrassing,
man.
all right. So if you would like to have an informal meeting with Mayor, you just need to hang out long enough in the sauna at the YMCA.
This is true. It happens. I have a general rule I want to let Hammond residents know, though. If I'm in my Speedo, it's bad form to talk to the mayor. So, yeah, we have a Speedo rule, and it's funny, too. I say it jokingly, right? I say it because nobody wants to talk to you when you're in your Speedo. I've learned that, right? And then one of my employees walks by me a couple weeks ago, sees I'm swimming, sees I'm in my Speedo, and they're like, I'll just stay over here, Mayor. Nice to see you. Thought it was so funny. So thanks, Awana.
All right, moving on. Hammond passed a 1% food and beverage tax in the past year.
Yes, sir.
Went into effect this fall.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with those proceeds?
Listen, I don't love taxes. I don't. Okay, we passed it. It's in my state of the city. I think it's a wise use of tax money in this case. That's why we passed it, okay? I don't love it. I do go out to restaurants, and I love when the restaurants, I love seeing what they put for that extra 1%. Some restaurants lump the 1% into the other 7% and they just say tax, which I prefer, right? Some say Hammond food and beverage tax, which I don't love that one, and it's like, this is how much you pay. And then one place had Mayor McDermott tax. I certainly didn't like that one. So, but it's 1% on restaurant food. Okay, so the other day, for instance, when I ordered my tacos, it was 40 cents on my order. It was like 41 cents. I could live with that, right? But that 41 cents added up for the next 20 years is going to result in $40 million. And with $40 million, you could do, present day, at least $20 million worth of work. And $20 million worth of work could do a lot of good. We made a promise to the General Assembly when they gave us permission to pass the food and beverage tax. We said we will use it on one of two projects. We said one of three, but we're focusing on one of two. The downtown Hammond train station, which is about a $10 million project, which will start shortly. It's going to be right at the end of Russell Street, right where Russell intersects with the South Shore line. About a $10 million project right by the bank, right by all the new housing we're doing downtown. That's already being paid for. We already designed it. We're waiting for the train to roll so we can start that. The other project is the expansion of the Hammond Sportsplex. We just built it, and we're expanding. I got the exact stats here. Hold on 2 seconds. 25,200 square foot expansion. We're moving the 4 sand courts to the back of the building. We're adding lights to the sand courts in the back of the building, adding 8 more volleyball courts and 4 more basketball courts, which will be a total of 20 volleyball courts or 10 basketball courts, which could host the largest tournaments pretty much offered in the Midwest. Grand Park and Hammond. That's what we're talking about. We're putting ourselves up there in fine company. There's not many buildings in the Chicago area that can compete with the Hammond Sportsplex. And we're already expanding. And let me tell you a secret. We're making our money mostly on volleyball. I love all the other sports, but it's funny how much these parents are paying for volleyball right now. We get kids from all over the Midwest coming to Hammond on weekends. They're staying all weekend. And they're spending lots of money staying in our hotels. By the way, we have 2 hotels under construction in the city of Hammond, underway. Already getting ready. There's one that's going to be up towards the casino, and another one down by the Hammond Sportsplex. None of them include incentives. First time since I've been mayor. I mean, that's got to be good, right? We're bringing people in here. We're filling our hotels so much so they want to build 2 more. Each of those hotels is like $6 million added to the tax rolls. $6 million to lower our tax rate, lower our tax bill, bring in more people, bring in more jobs. So I'm really happy about what's going on right now. But the Sportsplex, Woodmar Mall, has been a grand slam for us.
Yes, it certainly has. Can you talk to the audience a little bit about downtown? Like, what's the vision for downtown? Some people, they want to use a fancy term like transit-oriented development. Like, what does that really mean to the person in the room here?
We've all heard that term. It's been bandied around a lot lately. And what they're talking about is there's a segment of population, typically younger, that wants to be in close location. They want to live close to a train line. All right? We're literally seeing Michigan City explode in the positive direction right now. Michigan City, I love the mayor out there. She's a good friend of mine. I love the city. I always feel a kinship with a couple cities in the region. Michigan City is one of them. Feel a kinship with Crown Point also. I think Crown Point and Michigan City and Hammond have very similar types of demographics. But Mayor Angie in Michigan City right now has a $250 million development going in close location, close proximity to the South Shore train line. I think it's actually $260 million. Their site is almost identical to a site we have in Hammond, right next to what we call the Gateway Station in Hammond's 2nd District. Gateway Station, that TOD is over 10 acres in prime real estate. It's going to be controlled by the city of Hammond. We're going to be pitching that property hard, and I'm looking for something big. I'm not talking about 20 million. I'm talking 9 figures. I want a big investment there, and I think we could do it. TOD is where it's at, Scott. And fortunately for Hammond, we have a new rail line going right through our downtown, right down the west portion of our city, and we got developers interested in developing all along that. Fact, we got Illinois businesses constantly knocking on our door, talking about big projects. Not a $5 million project. They're talking about $50 million projects, $100 million projects. It's happening right now, and it forces us to think differently. Like, I look at old industrial pieces of property, and I'm like, let's knock that building down and develop it now and put something worth 9 figures there. Now's the time. Things are going really well in Hammond right now. My economic development team, led by Ann Juan, and Melissa. Could you three of you stand up, please? I know Ann and Juan are here. I'm not sure if Melissa's here. Can you give it up? Hey, look at that, all three of you. Thank you, guys. You know, I made a joke I think it might have been in this speech. I said, a lot of people in their economic development teams, they focus on people that play golf and like to drink and they like to go out late. I focus on people that get deals done and that'll talk and work and get the work done. And I got 3 great people working in that department. So if you're interested in opening a business in Hammond, these 3 will help you and they'll close the deal. So thank you very much, guys. By the way, since I've been mayor, we brought in $1 billion in new economic development, right? Right, Megan? I almost said that wrong. Yeah, $1 billion of new economic development since I've been mayor. Thank you. $1 billion, $1 billion, with a B, not with a T. You can say anything though, right? I can say anything nowadays. You can, yeah, we had $1 trillion in new economic development. I said it, right in the middle of the state of the city.
Let's run with it.
And I believe it with all my heart. We had $1 trillion, okay? It's true. Yeah, I don't care what you guys say, it's true. Sorry about that detour I took.
All right, Mayor, you mentioned trains.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and sometimes for the life of the city, they've stopped in, let's say, here on Indianapolis, and they've stopped over in Hessville. And that's been a fun subject for you to address in the past year.
That was a
want to
big
share
part of
with
the
the room what's going on with the Hessville Bridge.
Okay, Governor's Parkway.
Governor's Parkway.
It's been, 2025 is a big year for Governor's Parkway. This is a proposal we've been talking about for 8 years, Dean. This is my city engineer, Dean Button. Nice to see you, Dean. I think that's the first time in my life I've ever seen a city engineer get applause. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Governor's Parkway is a bridge that we are building at no cost locally. The local money we're using is federal money. They gave it to us. We have the state chipping in a big portion of it, and the feds pitching in a big portion of it. We're getting a bridge built in Hessville for free. And that bridge is going to take us over stop trains. And they stop for hours. They don't stop for minutes. They don't go slow. They stop. And then what you have to do as a resident is deal with it. Drive around it. Go on Klein Avenue. Stop complaining. We're trains. This is what we do. For 100 years, we've been dealing with this problem in Hessville. 100 years. Every mayor has tried to deal with it. They try to give tickets. You can't do that. They try to talk to them. You can't do that. They don't care. They don't care. So we were building a bridge. And when you have bridges, you have clearances you have to make. You have to go up at a certain angle. You have to come down at a certain angle. And that's hard to do in a congested area like Hessville. We got thousands of people that live there. And we figured out a route. And we got up over the train, and we got down. And unfortunately, when it drops down, it goes through a wooded area. It's unfortunate. I like woods. I like trees. I'm an outdoorsman, okay? It sucks that that's where it has to land. But that's where we agree. That's where our engineers agree. That's where the state engineers agree. The feds are signing off on it shortly. We all agree this is where it has to be. This is where it has to land. And unfortunately, it's going to take out a few hundred trees. It sucks. I like trees, all right? I'm going to replant every one of those trees. Not me personally. We're going to replant 2 to 1. Oh my God. I know, yeah. 2 to 1. We're going to replant every one of those trees. We're going to try to keep it in close proximity to where we eliminated the trees. And we all acknowledge this is not ideal, but it's the good outweighs the bad. This stinks for the critters. It stinks for the naturalists. But in our defense, less than a mile away, there's another park with hundreds of acres. It's called Gibson Park. It's beautiful. We can't touch that, obviously, because it's protected. All right? We don't like the fact this is what's happening, but I think the good outweighs the bad. And we started off sympathetic to what we call the dune dusters. They show up and they complain about the trees. And they feel strongly about it. I give them credit. For a while, I gave them credit. And then after a while, you're like, okay, listen, guys, I appreciate you being here, but I'm doing this. I get it. You guys oppose it. I get it, but I'm doing this, right? And then I'm still trying to be nice. And then at a certain point, you're like, I'm going to stop being nice. We're doing this. Stop complaining. You vote against me. We're doing this. We're building this bridge. Appreciate you. Love the First Amendment, but we're building this bridge, and that's where I am right now. Not as polite. I don't want to be polite now. I've been polite. I've been polite for about a couple years. I'm not polite anymore. I'm building the bridge. We're going to isolate that area because it's city Hammond property, and it's not ideal. I know that they feel strongly we're making a mistake, but we're going to do it, and it's going to get us over this problem in Hessville, and then we'll deal with the trees. So it's a tough issue because they have given up on me, right? And now they're focusing on the city council. And the city council and I are obviously, we have a close relationship, and I'm like, I'd rather them mess with me than mess with the council. So the council and I went through a procedure that we didn't need to do about a month ago. We floated a resolution saying, you guys still on board? I didn't have to do that. I could have just said, I don't care what the council thinks now, but I wanted to say, hey, you guys still on board? Knowing everything, knowing the trees, knowing about the money, knowing about the stop trains, you still on board? Unanimous. Council came back. Mayor's on board, council's on board. And by the way, Scott Rakos, the councilman in the 6th district, ran for election against the guy that's pushing the bridge in Hessville. They ran against each other. Obviously, the big topic was the bridge. Scott won. So I take all these factors into consideration, and I'm like, I'm building this bridge. I'm not being polite anymore. I'm sorry you don't like it, but I think it's the right thing to do as mayor. And I think that's what we need nowadays is somebody just to be a straight shooter. And I realize they're probably not going to vote for me. And I realize they say evil things about me on Facebook, but guess what? In a couple years, you're going to be driving over a stop train in Hessville, and you're going to think about us, the ones that fought so hard to build that bridge. So thank you for asking that.
Mayor, I don't think everyone in the audience is aware that you can build a house in Hammond. Do you mind sharing some of the updates about residential developments in Hammond?
Sure. Build a house in Hammond. I've always supported residential development. I still do. When I first took over, there was a project called Millennium Estates that was started by the DeLillo administration. That stalled out. It's over there right off of Michigan and Calumet, southwest side. Okay, Millennium Development's doing really well. I have the stats right here. New single-family homes, 6 built and sold immediately in the last few years. There's 7 still remaining out there. In Hessville, we have what we call the Florida Avenue development, 11 homes, single-family homes, all but 1 built and sold. New York Avenue near the golf course, 3 new single-family homes starting this year. Clark Fields, we auctioned these off a couple years ago. 37 lots were live auctioned in August of 23. All parcels sold in 45 minutes. Construction has already started on 3 homes, with the rest breaking ground this year. Memorial Park, right by Hammond City Hall, just to the east of Columbia Avenue. 28 single-family home parcels will be auctioned out or available via RFP as soon as site prep is near completion. That should be very shortly now. Jacob Square neighborhood, which is also right by the Area Career Center, identified by Jeff Speck in our downtown Hammond master plan as an area prime for residential development. And not only that, City of Hammond Redevelopment Department led by Ann has over 500 residential lots available for sale as well. And we are making those widely known so that you can see them easily. So we have a lot of residential developments going in the city. I think that's a sign of a strong city, personally. Going back to Governor's Parkway, one of the criticisms of me in that, one of the reasons they're saying not to do the bridge is Mayor Tom is just going to turn around and build new homes over there. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? What is wrong if I build single-family homes over there? There's no plan to build single-family homes over there. None. We just want to build a bridge. But what if one day Mayor Tom says, we could build 20 new single-family homes here? Is that the worst thing that's ever happened in Hammond? People want to build a new home? I don't get what's going on in America nowadays. Hammond needs investment. Hammond needs new homes. Hammond needs new residents. And if I build them, I'm going to have the Dune Dusters mad at me? Is this bizarro world? I don't get it. Sorry. I think I'm on LockPod sometimes. It's weird. I'm not cursing. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
Speaking of future developments, very recently the city became owners of the haunted house property.
Yes, sir.
Right into Indiana. Can you share with the audience any details of what's going to happen there?
We call it the haunted house. Everybody in this room knows it as Reaper's Realm, okay? Seen by, I estimate, 250 to 500,000 cars every single day. It's 11 acres, completely underutilized. All due respect to the people that have been using the land. Who are friends of mine. I don't think they love me right now, but the Haluska family has been running that property as a fireworks stand and as a haunted house for 20 plus years, probably more. And they're a nice family, and they've done a nice job, okay? But as mayor, and I have a city that needs development, I have a city that needs new investment, and I look at a piece of property that's 11 acres, off the highway, seen by 250,000 cars a day. And it looks like crap. And not just that, it's literally used twice a year. Bunch of part-time jobs when it's in use, and the rest of the year, it's worthless. Not generating anything, not generating hardly any tax. So we looked at it, we said we could do better. I feel heartburn personally because I know the people that are going to be affected by this, and that sucks. Because as mayor, I have to think about the greater good. The greater good is, what could this piece of property do for the city of Hammond? All you have to do is go down the street and look at what we did with the old River Park apartment, right? River Park apartment complex, home of 2 great restaurants, 3 great hotels, multiple law firms, multiple professional businesses offices. You know what that was before? When I took over as mayor, it was a rundown apartment complex in the same neck of the woods. We bought it, demolished those pieces of crap, demolished those buildings, and then we started developing it, and it's worth over $50 million now. That $15 million investment tripled in value because we had a vision that was different from what we've been looking at for decades. Doesn't it sound like the haunted house? We've been looking at this piece of property for decades. It's falling apart before our eyes. It doesn't really do us any good except for twice a year. It's 11 acres off the highway. That's being a mayor. That's being a mayor right there. Knowing full well the people that run that know me personally, and they're going to be devastated with me. They're going to probably never talk to me the rest of my life. But we did it because it's the right thing to do. And now we've owned that property, $2.5 million if I remember. We bought it for $2.5 million. We're going to demolish that piece of property, and we're going to redevelop it like we did down the street. And we will triple our investment in that piece of property as well. Easily, by the way, $2.5 million. Come back and talk to me in a few years. When we're talking about this development's worth $30, $40 million, come back and talk to me whether it was a good idea to do this, because it is. And we're in control of that now, and I know the council's excited about it. I know the Councilman Emerson's excited about it, because I promised him at least 2 restaurants, Bill. I promise you, 2 sit-down restaurants. That's my goal, but I'm talking that's in addition to everything else we build. So thank you for bringing that up, Scott.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You know, one of the signature programs in Hammond to encourage home ownership has been College Bound. It's one of your signature programs. Nobody around here has it.
College Bound?
Yeah, College Bound. Do you mind sharing the update from this past year on College Bound?
It was a big year for College Bound also. I have the coordinator in here, is Sharon Daniels, who runs the College Bound program. Hi, Sharon. Nice to see you. College Bound was renewed for another 10 years in the city of Hammond this year. It's been in existence, I believe, for 18 years. Is that accurate? This is the 19th year. 19 years in existence. All right. $55 million in scholarships we've given out over that period of time. $55 million. I'm going to take a chance here. If you're a College Bound student and you're in this room, could you raise your hand? God, I hope there's at least a couple. All right. Nice to see you guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, I forgot Chase was a College Bound student. Good to see you raising your hand. Yeah, College Bound. 465 kids are currently in the program, 8,817 total recipients, over $55 million spent on college scholarships since its inception. The Hammond City Council supported this idea early on and continuously since then. I approached them this year because we want the residents to know. Because think about it, you're going to send your kid to college for 4 years, and we only had 2 years left on the program, right? And you're like, hey, Mayor, you got the first couple years covered. My kid's going to be able to be a junior, right? So we had to start thinking ahead of the game. You can't just have 2 years remaining on a college scholarship when you're sending your kid to college for 4. So thank you to the Hammond Council for approving that this year. I personally think that program is why Hammond's the largest city in Lake County. I personally think that. We became the largest city shortly after that program came into existence, and one of the reasons Hammond became the largest city is because everybody else was losing population so quick, and Hammond stayed constant. We weren't gaining, but we weren't losing. Everybody else was dropping percentages, and Hammond stayed the same, and we became the largest city. And I stand before you, Hammond's the largest city in Lake County. Hammond School City is the largest school city in Northwest Indiana. Hammond City has the highest assessed value in Indiana, and as I said, I brought in $1 trillion. No, I'm just kidding, $1 billion of new economic development. So that's something I'm real proud of, so thank you.
You know, there's been so many exciting things happening, but one of the ones that Maybe Jim wasn't surprised by it, but I think we've all been very pleasantly surprised by what's going on at the Gene Shepherd. Do you mind sharing what's new?
Sure. Jim Talon, could you raise your hand? Nice to see you, Jim. Jim's the head of the Hammond Park Department, the administrator of the Hammond Park Department, which means he oversees all of our buildings, oversees the field operations at Hammond Park Department. He also works with City Hall, and he approached us this year with an idea about the Gene Shepherd Center. Gene Shepherd Center was built under the previous administration. It was great use of money at the time. Over the years, it's been more like a place where you go shoot hoops after school. It would be not super busy, but not super dead. You know, there'd be a couple people in there messing around. Some nights it would be dead. Some nights you'd have more people than others, but never packed. And Jim came in and he had an idea. He said, you know, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America, Mayor, and I have a vision for the Gene Shepherd Center to turn it into basically make a deal with Northwest Indiana Pickleball and bring them from Griffith, they're previously playing at the Mansards, and bring them into the Gene Shepherd Center. We invested a lot of money in there, created 12 courts, Jim? 12 courts, and it's state of the art. And let me tell you something. You walk in that building, it's packed all the time now. And I realize there's some kids that can't shoot hoops right now, and I've heard complaints from a few of the kids that did use that building. But when you walk in there and you see people from Valparaiso and people from Chesterton that drove in to Hammond to play pickleball at our sports complex, that's what it's all about. And I know Phil's here from the tourism department. They just got done sponsoring a big event that was $20,000 was the prize, Phil?
Yes.
$20,000 was the purse. And a lot of people were just driving in just at a shot at that. Somebody flew in from France to play in Hammond this past week. And obviously they're staying at our hotels, and obviously they're going to our restaurants, right? This is what it's about. Hammond's turned into this sports mecca, and it's the park department that's driving a lot of that between what's going on, you know, at the Civic Center, what's going on at the Gene, and with now, you know, what's going on at the Hammond Sportsplex as well. So it's something I'm real excited about.
All right, the audience, we are going to have a little time for questions, so I'm going to ask one more question to Mayor, then we're going to take a
Please
few
ask questions. If you don't, then we'll knock it off. But if you have questions, I don't have a problem. Mayor's Night Out. There's nothing you could do to be, you know, more aggressive than Mayor's Night Out is, I promise you. So ask questions. So
while people are thinking about their question, my last one, this is one I've heard you talk publicly, but I think it's a good one, is, you know, casino revenues in Hammond have been declining. What's the city doing about the challenges financially?
Good question. Obviously, I think Hard Rock relocating off the highway, I fought it hard at the time. Obviously, it was not successful. Hard Rock's done very well at their new location. Okay, and I don't think that's a big shock for anybody. If you locate off of a lake, off of 8094, naturally you're going to draw more people into your casino. So, all due respect to Hard Rock, you know, it's legal where they are now. Obviously, it had an effect on Hammond's gaming revenue. Okay, obviously, we went down from, you know, usually we're in the mid 30s. We were for a long time. We're more like the mid to low 20s now. So if you take an $11 million hit in your budget, even when you're the size of the city of Hammond, that's a big effect. Has a big effect on our construction. You know, Dean is in charge of what we call a capital improvements board. Capital improvements board gets a percentage of casino money. So if casino revenue drops, that percentage drops, Dean gets less money at capital improvements board, which means he can't do as many projects as he's used to, right? So it has a trickle effect. But I do have good news. I'm not here, woe is me. That is the world. All right, that is the world. Indiana made a decision. Hard Rock made a decision. Here's Hammond. All right. The good news, though, is over the years we've been working so hard to bring in new economic development, to diversify our revenue, that we absorbed that hit. Like amazingly, actually. We still gave pay raises to our police and firemen. We still give pay raises to our Teamsters and our city employees. We absorbed a $10 million hit, and we're still kicking. Why? Because of things like this. Things that we did with water a long time ago when we started getting serious about those water contracts we have with our neighbors and with our neighbors in Illinois. And we made, last year, off of water revenue alone, the city of Hammond made over $11 million in water revenue. To give you an idea, thank you, I appreciate it. I feel like an entrepreneur because when I took over as mayor, that revenue stream was less than $1 million. And it was $11 million last year and growing. Not going down. These are all contracts we have with other communities, and I am not raising your water rates if you live in Munster or Highland. you got to talk to your neighbors about what's going on with your water rates, because what happens is we sell water to our neighbors for dirt cheap, and then they add on to the water and sell it to you. So our contracts with your government is a very low number. What happens in our customer community is as a result of the local water, but I do get vilified a lot. I read letters going out in our neighbors' towns, and they say like, Mayor McDermott and Hammond raised our water rates, and this is what we're doing to your water rates. That's not lovely for me, and it's not really accurate, but it's easier to blame Mayor McDermott if you're in another community than to blame yourself, right? So, but we absorbed that hit. Our water revenue is growing every year. Our assessed value, like I said, has gone up $1 billion since I've been mayor, which means our property tax revenue is $45 million this year. Now, that's the highest I've ever seen it. I took over as mayor, and property tax revenue was like $42 million under the old system. And then when they came in with circuit breakers, it knocked our property tax revenue in half. And now we're up to 40, 42, 43, 44 again, and that's because we're bringing in all this new business, and they're getting assessed, and they're helping to contribute to our taxes. So thank you for bringing that up, Scott.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, who's got a question? Who's got a question? All right.
Uh-oh. Anything. I do not get offended easily. Please. Ask it if you.
What's going on in downtown Hammond?
Hey, Don.
All that good stuff.
Hi, Don Babcock. I know that voice anywhere.
Excuse me. What's going on in downtown Hammond and all the good stuff on Holman Avenue? I see some stuff going on. I think some things are opening up.
Yeah.
Maybe give us a little update.
Thank you. The bank, downtown Hammond. It's opening this spring. This is the old Bank Calumet building. Opening, pre-leasing has gone extremely well. Currently, the bank, is it the bank or is it the bank? Bank. Is it the bank? Are you supposed to say bank? Because it's spelled with a C, so the bank. Okay. Currently, the bank, they're going through their final building inspection as we speak for the 100 apartment units. 100 market rate residential units are going to be available shortly, 25 full-time jobs, and they're going to have a community space developed in there as well. 7,000 square feet of event space that could hold up to 400 guests, opening in the summer of 2025. So that's really good news, right? Downtown Hammond. Pretty good.
We have our partners with Purdue coming downtown.
Yeah, Purdue Northwest is taking one of the buildings that was part of the Franciscan complex, and they're building basically part of their campus in downtown Hammond. It's going to be working real closely with the Quantum Corridor. I know Tom Dockich is here also. Quantum Corridor is going to have a node right in downtown Hammond, and that's a real special thing. To have a node in downtown Hammond is real special, and I know Purdue wants to be part of that. Obviously, I have real close connections with Purdue and with Cal College, but Purdue located in downtown Hammond is a positive. That's one thing I do know is when Purdue owns property, they do a real good job with it and with the area around it. So I'm looking forward to that partnership continuing in downtown Hammond.
Great. For those who don't know, with Quantum, the really cool thing is that the investment is so large is that research scientists are willing to travel all over the country to places that have it. We're going to have it in downtown Hammond. So they're going to be staying in our hotels. It's going to help our restaurants downtown, and it's not just to come in for a weekend. They're going to stay for months and some years at a time to do this research. So all in downtown. And then Rimbach has gone out for RFP as well, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So that's the property across from the bank. So just all good things coming to downtown. In the next few years, it'll look completely different.
Another thing we didn't talk about that we celebrated in 2025 was Meats by Lynn's. Meat by Lynn's opened right there just to the north of downtown Hammond. Meat by Lynn's, $35 million project, worldwide, world-famous meat distributor, producer, 350 new jobs, and just a beautiful brand new building right there in just north of downtown Hammond. Another big project that opened this year, $100 million Hootamonke expansion right there across the street from the Hammond Sportsplex and the YMCA, $100 million project, and that's just the beginning. This year we got projects already in the chute, ready to go. So,
anyone else?
I appreciate you guys.
Oh, there's a question over there. It'll take me a minute
Back
to
corner.
get there.
It's always funny how that works. Back corner over here. How you doing, sir? I can hear you, man. Just go ahead and start talking.
Well, the live stream won't be able to hear him.
Okay. You have a very deep voice.
Good afternoon. I have a question regarding the St. Margaret Hospital facility.
Thank you.
What's going on there?
We were in a dispute with St. Margaret's for a while about just the demolition project, okay? And it took us over a year to get through it. It was millions of dollars in their defense and in our defense. And once we got through with that, the demolition's been going very smoothly. Once that site is demolished, all I can tell you at this point with certainty, sir, is that Purdue Northwest is going to have the building, the old wound center, on that location. Purdue's super happy about it. We're happy that Purdue's going there. I can tell you the rest of the development is to be determined, sir. If somebody, I want somebody to knock my socks off. So I'm looking at Mr. Dockett right now. I know Mr. Dockett has got huge plans with Quantum, right? And if Mr. Dockett knocks it out of the park and I have some cheap development that I settled on, I'm going to want to jump off a bridge. So instead, what I'm going to do is be patient on that project. I'm going to wait for Tom Dockett to knock it out of the park, and we're going to be sitting on prime real estate. You know what I'm saying, sir? That's the plan right now. But there is no hard development plans other than what Purdue Northwest is doing with the old wound center, sir. Thank you for the question.
All right, we have time for one or two more questions. Anybody else?
Don't be shy. You're going to regret it. Yes, hi. We got one over here.
Oh.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Do you have any ideas on development for, say, Calumet and Highland?
State, Calumet, and Highland streets.
So, yep, and then maybe to Michigan and Calumet. Like, what's the plan there? Any idea?
I couldn't tell you, like, off the top of my head. I could tell you that we have a process through CIB that they analyze and grade our streets, and then it's challenging for us because, you know, only your street, you know, at this point has to be pretty bad to get a lot of the work. So I guess what I'm saying is I can't tell you off the top of my head which streets CIB is doing because that's what they do. But I think it's noted because Dean's sitting right here. Dean, do you have anything you want to say to that right off? Or State, Calumet, and Highland sounds like
We have the
bad shape.
City Hall TIF district coming on.
Yeah.
That'll be affected by
But I don't think there's anything right now. Right. So. Okay.
Swanell is doing their big expansion
Oh, I
right
forgot
off
about that.
of
Good call.
Highland and
Thank you.
Calumet.
Thank you.
Yep.
Swanell, it's the old Carpenters Union Hall, right across the street from Hammond Central. Swanell is putting I think it's a $5 million project right there. $7 million project right there. They're under roof. They've been building it all through the winter, and that project appears to be going very well. That was a project in the hopper for at least 5 years before it happened as well. So.
All right, let's take one more then, Mayor. We'll give you the final word.
Sure. Anyway? All right, we got one right there. How you doing, sir? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Hi.
Are we planning on legalizing backyard chicken keeping in Hammond? I know that's been something that a lot
No,
of
I
people...
love it. Chicken keeping? You know what? My wife had you ask that question, right? But if it was up to...
Eggs are expensive, Mayor.
No kidding. This is a good time to ask that question. This is an issue. Okay, let me tell you. I've been mayor for a long time, okay? There's certain things I learned as mayor. I could talk about a lot of things, but if you talk about an ordinance that has to do with chickens or dogs, you'll bring out thousands of people to City Hall, right? People feel strongly both ways. That's the interesting thing about this. You know, I personally don't have a problem with chickens in your backyard. I personally don't, right? But there's people that brings out unusual reactions in them. This topic, we've dealt with this topic half a dozen times probably since I've been mayor. But now with egg prices at all-time high, I find it interesting, that question. And you know what? You're sitting behind like 5 or 6 Hammond City Council people right now, so it's an interesting time to ask. It's interesting. I'm not saying no, but I know that this has been a problem in the past because of the reactions it brings out in other people. All right? I have a small little dog in my backyard, so I don't have a problem with chickens personally, but that's a tougher question, especially with the price of eggs being what it is. That's an interesting question. So thank you. All right.
All right, Mayor, you are now currently the longest sitting mayor in the state of Indiana.
Thank
Yes.
you. That is true. By the way, all due respect to Mayor Tony Rosaworski, we're tied, okay?
Okay.
He's the mayor
All right.
of Lafayette, Indiana. He's a great guy, a friend of mine. We got elected at the same time. Yeah, he's a real good guy, but we have the same tenure, so.
Longest serving mayor in Hammond's history as well.
That's true.
I guess I'd like you to conclude with what's your vision for Hammond moving forward? Like, share with all of your experience, with all your leadership. What do you see for Hammond? What's the future?
I'm super optimistic. I know we have our challenges, and I know I have 2 Hammond School Board members here, and they have a lot of challenges right now because for some reason, the world turned against public schools in Indiana. I don't get it. Like, public school teachers are heroes. And now suddenly public school teachers are like enemies. I don't get it. So Hammond has numerous challenges at all times, and we do currently, and we will 10 years from now. But I am very optimistic. I was talking about how we weathered the $10 million hit to our gaming revenue. We did it because we're doing so well in other regards. We're bringing in new businesses. We're making good deals with our assets like our water. Our miscellaneous revenues are increasing. We're doing good work. And but we do have a lot of challenges. I think that some of the positive things that are happening, like all these businesses from Illinois that want to locate in Hammond, that's going to save us. And we got to keep on working hard to bring in new businesses, keep working hard providing services for our residents, keep our streets safe with the Hammond police and firefighters. And Hammond's poised for greatness. It really is. It's a wonderful city. The residents have been great to me. The workers work hard. I'm just super honored to still be standing here 22 years later. I'm very appreciative. Every day I go to work, I feel lucky, and I love you guys. Seriously, I'm looking forward to working with you again for the rest of this term, and we'll see what happens after that. But in the meantime, let's just keep on closing deals. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you next year at the Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce. Appreciate everybody very much. I'll get out of here.
Thank you again. Another round of applause to the mayor.